These are the shelves I built in my last video, and for some reason there were a lot of concerns in the comments, especially about this one. I had no clue the video would get so popular, so I'm going to be clearing up some of the concerns people had, plus testing even more things. Oh! The lower shelf is held up using 1/2-inch rods drilled into the internal frame of the house. And just as a visual, this is what it looks like inside the wall of most US houses. These vertical things are studs. This is one of them. And as you can see, there is still a 1/2 inch of material on each side of the hole. People were concerned that this stud was now compromised. Now, I'm not an expert by any means, but of course, drilling a hole will weaken the wood, so I decided to test it. I couldn't get a good result from the first test, so I went to level 100 right away and drove over it with my car. I know this is not a super scientific test, but it should give us some insights on how strong wood can be.
Color me surprised.
Even with the hole in the stud, it was able to withstand the weight of my car. Now, I have to pause here and just say drilling into my studs worked for me because I knew what was inside of the wall. I also made sure it's not a load-bearing wall, but I do not recommend any of you repeating the actions seen in these videos without professional help. There are some good reasons for this that I'll talk about later on in the video, but for now, a good solution to this problem was for me to glue in a dowel into the hole instead, and hopefully the glue will help return the stud to full strength. The dowel was slightly too large, so I had to sand it down. This is a 1/2-inch hardwood dowel, and in the last test, oh my god, the rods I used bent after I jumped on them. So I'm going to test the dowels as well. Surprisingly, it held up my weight just fine, but after repeated tests, this happened. Oh! I would say the dowels are strong enough to be used instead of the threaded rods, which brings me to my next point. Why didn't you use a non-threaded rod? Originally, I thought the size between the hole and the rod would be more of a match, and that I would have to screw in the rod using these nuts. But the mismatch between my bit and the rod caused it to be loose. So there's no particular reason, and a regular rod or rebar should work just as well. The magnet technique for finding studs is so clever. I first saw this trick here on YouTube. These are the magnetic push pins that I used, and they worked great. There's a whole line of products that use magnets to find studs, and I will link to some of them in the description. What they're not good for, however, is finding wires and pipes in the wall, which is something I forgot to mention in my last video. By the way, thanks for the comment, Scott. I love your videos. But back to the subject. The magnets just find the screws that are holding up the drywall. You still need a stud finder that can find wires and pipes in the wall, which again can look like this. The one I have is hit or miss for detecting wires, but I've seen some people using the Franklin sensor product with good results. This is not sponsored, I've just heard positive things. The YouTube channel Project Farm has an in-depth video on the best stud finder. I highly recommend this video because he does thorough and unbiased showdowns of common products to find the best one. Sometimes I find myself in the hardware store frantically checking his videos to see what I should buy. So please do your own research as well. Painting the brackets the wall color can help hide them too. This is referring to the top shelf, and it is actually a great idea, and I wish I had come up with it myself. As you can see, it looks great. In my country, we make our houses out of concrete or bricks, so we just drill anywhere we want, and we're not afraid of any linseed oil fires. Well, that's awesome. Thanks for telling the class. But show and tell was yesterday. Again, most houses here in the US have what's called stick framing, but installing these in concrete or solid bricks should be pretty much the same, minus needing to look for the studs. However, masonry bits and anchors might be needed, plus a drill with a hammer function. Sriracha bottle. I am a connoisseur of fine spices, so I always have plenty of these bottles which come in handy for applying glue, oil, water, and Sriracha branded wood finish. Is there a specific reason why you chose 17 degrees for the angle? There is no real reason for that number. I just happened to do that one day as an edge detail on a previous project, and I thought it looked good, so I kept doing it. What I love about building things is that you can, for the most part, just make stuff up, and as long as it looks good to you, it is good. Don't forget, I am a mere creator, just like you. Thanks for watching, bye!